Hello and welcome to the World of Electrospecs podcast. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Pete.
And Pete was making a really weird face there for a second.
It's like we finally got it going again. Yes.
Why did you have that like surprised face on? Is it too loud?
No,
Was I too loud?
no. It just seems like sometimes for us to get set up seems to take way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long. But, that's whatever. It is whatever.
It is what it is.
It is.
We have another camera.
Yes.
Camera numero tres.
Numero tres?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, yeah.
There
for the video watchers. For the video
watchers.
The video listeners.
And for those of you that don't know, you can find us on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you're listening to the audio podcast, there's a YouTube. There's a video portion.
There is.
By video portion, I mean it's the same exact thing you're listening to right now. It's just on YouTube.
YouTube.
And if you're listening to the YouTube version, you can download this podcast. You can download it directly from my website where I'm hosting it, or you can subscribe to it on iTunes. You subscribe to it on any other podcast. Most of the
direct link.
I don't know if you know this or not. Most of the other podcast apps just use the iTunes podcast searching engine.
Oh, no kidding.
So yeah, that's why
that explains a lot.
It was so important for me to get this podcast back on. Are we recording?
Oh yeah.
The screen's off.
Oh yeah.
I never set the timer.
Oh yeah. I was going to ask you.
I totally forgot.
Are we set up to do this professionally or what here?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this is episode number 2 of the reboot. So I don't even know if we need to call it a reboot.
I'll set it to 12 minutes and
12 minutes. So today, we're trying to do 30-minute episodes, in our reboot episode.
The first episode was
we went over.
Well, we went over 30 minutes first of all, but the cameras we're using had a recording time of half an hour.
Yeah.
And so our video cut out about halfway through our episode when we went over time. So that was our fault.
It's one of those things too. When I bought the camera, I knew what I was buying. I knew how much record time they had, but it's not one of those things you kind of think about when you're trying to set up. So
Yeah, it didn't. I remembered that too. As soon as you mentioned that it had a 29-minute record time, I was like, oh, that's right. I forgot about that. So
definitely. Well, those glitches. We're past it now. We're moving on. So
it's a process.
Everything with me is a process. Hey, So I had this idea today that I actually wanted to talk to you about Electrospecs, because
today,
if someone
you brought this up a few days ago.
Well, I brought it up today too. But yes, yeah.
You're like,
no. I mean that's fine. But I brought it up again today.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to turn these headphones down a little bit because it's pretty loud. Isn't it?
No. Yes. No. Well, anyhow, there are many people who probably don't understand the origins, if you will, of Electrospecs. And where do I get a set?
That's totally understandable. Because it was an inside joke to begin with.
Okay, so you got to be on the inside to joke.
Yeah, but I'm okay with telling this. It's like it doesn't have to stay an inside joke, and it was a stupid joke too. It was one of those like middle school things where it's like somebody says something weird and everybody laughs at it, and then it's an inside joke from that point forward.
True.
So if telling the story nowadays is probably not even funny, but
a small aside before I forget.
Yeah.
I think I should challenge our viewers to actually keep track of how many times I touch the knobs on the mixer.
Ooh, no, you're challenging me now. You're challenging me. You're going to make me, you know what you just did? Now in the video version of this podcast, I'm probably going to have a little counter in the upright corner where the number goes up every time you touch it.
Notice I'm doing this now. I'm going to hold my hands like this, and I'll never touch another knob.
Pete has found religion.
Wish me luck. Anyhow, So the Electrospec was something that came out of high school? See, I've got to do it. I've got to touch it.
Earlier than high school, I believe, if I remember correctly. So, and the people who subscribe to the show now will eventually hear this, because there are going to be times where we won't be able to record. Because we'll be busy or whatever. We'd like to have some of our own episodes recorded for those times, but something else that I thought might be kind of cool. I haven't brought this up to you yet, so I'm bringing it up to you now on air.
What about the Electrospec?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
There's a bunny trail. It's a really quick bunny trail.
Oh, God.
In the future, when we don't have episodes, or we can't record, like we're gone for a week or something like that, one of the things I'd like to do for filler for
Is it a bunny trail or a rabbit hole?
Well, if you quit interrupting. Basically, long story short.
No, go ahead. Take your time. I'm in no hurry.
No.
I'm in no hurry. We only have like 30 minutes or less now.
Okay. Long story short.
Right. As we chase bunnies.
In the future, when we can't record an episode, we'll pull them from the archives. And by pulling them from the archives, I mean I will see if I can get access to, or like finally decrypt that old hard drive I have that has all of the original 20 some odd episodes of the old show that I originally, the original World Through Electrospecs that I did with my friend Zechariah Pfaffenberger, which is how I'm getting into the story of the name of the show.
Okay.
To answer your question.
Okay, please.
The World Through Electrospecs.
Yes.
Is a part of a balanced breakfast. No, it's...
What?
You're messing with knobs again.
Does each time I turn count, or is it just the original touch for the knob turns? Because so
you're not even turning them; you're just tapping them.
Oh, there's adjustments there.
So, elementary. Yeah. I think it was way back in elementary school. It was an elementary school. I want to say like 5th or 6th grade friend of mine.
I'm challenging all of our viewers to give comments about memories they have from elementary school. We'll see how many really cool stories there are. But you got to keep it short.
It's a good challenge.
Yeah.
It's a good challenge. Maybe we'll read them.
Maybe.
In the future.
I will.
Well, I know I will, but I mean like out loud on the show.
Oh.
Might be kind of interesting. Great. If people are okay with it.
That'd be great. They could, don't tell anybody about this story because I, wet my pants in like 2nd grade. But
okay. Imagine a world. In what situation? What scenario are they giving us this information in the first place? If they're just commenting on a YouTube video, it's public knowledge anyways. You can't submit something anonymously if you're...
See, you're always thinking.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
So they can't tell us, don't talk about this on the show because they just gave that information out to begin with.
Right. And why would they tell us if they didn't want us to talk about it?
Right.
Okay, so it goes back to elementary school.
Back to... Never mind. Back to elementary school.
Yeah.
I had a good friend, and I'm sure if I would hope he wouldn't mind me dropping his name. I mean, he did a podcast with me before that was also public, so I don't think it would matter. But I had a friend back in elementary school. His name was Zechariah. Zech. I would always call him Zech because it was more accurate. All of our friends called him Zach, but his name was Zechariah, not Zachariah. So, Zech. Anyways,
Zech.
Okay. Z-E-C-H.
All right. Good friend.
Very good friend. Yes. We were the two opposite ends. We were kind of like the yin and the yang of Star Wars nerd knowledge. Zechariah was very, very much into all of the lore, all of the Jedi stuff. He was very into the history and reading all the books and understanding. So he had all of the novels, and he would read all the novels. I was more interested in the kind of faction and technology and militaristic aspect of it. So I had all of the books that talked about all the fake electronical and engineering and mechanical components that would go into a TIE fighter and that kind of stuff. So he was into the history and the lore. I was really big into technical aspects and props and blasters and stuff.
Gotcha.
Regardless, between the two of us, huge Star Wars nerds. We wanted to start a podcast. We loved talk radio. We loved podcasting. We wanted to start our own podcast. We talked about it for years. Never got it started. Eventually, we decided, well, let's do something. Let's call it Star Talk Radio.
I'm going to age myself for a moment if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if I should. I could. I shouldn't, but I'm going to.
Go ahead.
So, when I was a kid...
When I was a young warthog.
When I was just a wee little thing. It was funny because I had a best friend. His name was Craig. And we would sit in our basement. It wasn't ours. It was my parents'. It was my folks' place. And we'd sit down in the basement with a cassette recorder, but not the kind of cassette recorder that you see, in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
It was like the old Radio Shack ones that were like about a foot long, about 6 inches wide.
Yeah.
And you'd have those little like microphones, little condenser mics, and we'd have our own radio show and record that. So I was thinking about recording onto a cassette tape. Well, you're like, maybe we should do a podcast. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyhow, so yeah,
we both really liked podcasts. We liked the format. We liked the fact that it was like talk radio, but you could pause it, you could fast forward, you could rewind, you could skip an episode, you could go back and listen to an episode had you missed it. It's like talk radio, but you can pick and choose what you listen to,
which is great because in my era. Whatever. In my era,
you had the radio and
yeah, there wasn't like any going back unless you had like a vinyl record where you could pick up the needle and put it back down or hit rewind on the cassette tape. But then there wasn't anything live. Like to get anything live, you had to like be there. I mean, live is always, but like the new technology gives you as close to I'm going to listen to it when I want to listen to it. Kind of thing. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so
basically,
anyhow,
we wanted to start a podcast. We wanted to call it Star Talk, which there was a radio show. I don't know if it was national or if it was local. This was back when I was in the South Bend area, Mishawaka, South Bend area. But it was called Car Talk. And it was essentially a talk show about cars. The guys would just sit there and talk about cars. People would call in and ask them questions about their cars, that kind of stuff. So we wanted to start a podcast called Star Talk, which was essentially just about nerdy stuff, whatever we wanted to talk about, just nerd related things, just geek stuff. Come to find out, Star Talk was a podcast that already existed. It was not about. Well, I guess it was kind of about nerd stuff. It's actually Neil deGrasse Tyson's podcast, and it's about astronomy. So we can't use Star Talk. It's already used. So we were trying to think of a name. One night, one of us was staying the night at the other person's house. You know how when you're in elementary school and high school, you have sleepovers with your friends and stuff. Your mom drops you off, and you just play video games all night, that kind of stuff.
Sure, that's what we did.
We were playing The Force Awakens. Sorry. Not The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens. Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about perceiving the future. Very nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Premonitions. So we were playing The Force Unleashed.
Okay.
Which is I get those two acronyms confused a lot because they're very similar, TFU and TFA. The Force Awakens, Force Unleashed. Anyways, we were playing The Force Unleashed, the video game. I had recently unlocked a skin for Starkiller, the character in the game, that had the macro binoculars. I think they're called macro binoculars. Which
I'm sensing we're getting close.
Yeah, we're getting close.
All right.
I believe they're called macro binoculars. I'm not. Yeah, they are. They are.
Okay.
They were called macro binoculars.
All right.
In Star Wars, they are the like binocular things, the kind of rectangular lunchbox looking binocular things that Luke uses when he's looking around. That the sand troopers use when they're looking at things.
Ass whooped by a
what? Oh, by a Tusken Raider. Yep. They're the Star Wars binoculars.
I'm thinking a different episode. I'm thinking on Hoth.
Yeah. They use them on that too.
Yeah.
Those are macro binoculars.
Before the Wampa smacks him.
I don't know if they may not be called macro binoculars. I think they are though. So basically,
I'm surprised you don't know.
I should know, but I don't.
You should know. All right, so
basically, what happens
is has these.
He has them hanging on his belt with this particular character skin in the game.
Okay.
We were talking about those. We couldn't think of the name of them. We looked them up. We saw what they were called, and I was like, "That's stupid."
Why was it stupid? What were they called? Do you remember?
I think they were called macro binoculars.
Yeah, that's right. You were just mentioning that.
Yeah.
Macro binoculars.
Right. So I was like, that's dumb. Because originally, I thought that was kind of dumb because originally the lightsaber was called a laser sword.
Yeah.
And all that is you're taking a science fiction word and a real world item and you're meshing them together to make them seem like a space opera thing. Laser sword. It's a laser sword. It's kind of a lame name. Lightsaber makes a whole lot more sense, even though you're saying the exact same thing. You're just spicing up the words a little bit. So I thought macro binoculars sounded stupid. I was like, why are you calling it? You're just taking macro and you're taking binoculars, which we already have, and you're mushing them together to create a word.
That's amazing. And you know what we should do, though?
He was like, well, what should they have called them? And
Let's find out. Let's find out after we mention to folks about Patreon.
Oh, what they're actually called?
Well, no. I mean, we're going to continue this conversation.
I'll finish this story after the break.
We're going to take a short break.
Yeah.
And mention Patreon.
I totally messed up.
So nobody go anywhere.
I totally screwed up your
No, you
segue
didn't.
there.
No, it's perfectly fine.
I didn't realize we were out of time. So
it's still a segue because people are going to be like, what the? That's okay. You're going to find out. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break, folks, reset some things on our end, and please enjoy this short message from our from us, I guess.
Yeah. We got a short message to share about Patreon that we're going to give you guys. And then we're going to come right back to this conversation.
We will be right back.
Right on.
After these messages.
Hey, Caleb, what is this on, what are we listening to here? What's going on?
Well, Mr. Connery?
Sure, yes, that's who it is.
We're listening to a new podcast I just don't...
It's an old Sean Connery.
Yeah, that's okay. You're getting up there a little bit in age, Mr. Connery, but that's okay. No, what we're listening to is this newfangled thing that the kids are listening to these days called podcasts.
Podcast? What's it? All I know is some Red October thing. That's all I've heard about.
Well, the podcast is like a radio show, except people just kind of do it. They're not on any network or anything. They're just kind of doing it. And this is a new show that just recently got booted up.
Oh, that's amazing. Too bad they don't have agents. They need agents. You know, that'll help out a lot. Agents.
No agents. For the most part, people do this kind of stuff for free, but there is a way to support them.
Well, that's fantastic. You know. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
That's okay. So if you'd like to support the World Through Electrospecs podcast or any of the other things that the members of the podcast are working on at the moment, they actually have a Patreon page.
Well, that's fantastic. I'd love to support these guys. They seem like wonderful fellows.
Yeah, they sound awesome.
Yeah, and I sound horrible.
Yeah, it's okay. You know, you have a cold, but that's all right. If you want to support them, you can go to one of the hosts of the show. His name is Caleb Ferris. You can go to his Patreon page, and it's just patreon.com/Caleb Ferris. And on that page, there are a few different levels of support that you can do to kind of give them a little bit of kickback for their show that they're doing.
It seems they need it. It seems like they're on a little bit of a budget, you know.
Yeah,
a small one, you know.
Pretty small one. It's a pretty.
You can't hire actors, I hear.
Yeah, they have to resort to bringing in their own okay-ish voice actors. But basically, there are a few different ways you can support their podcast on Patreon. You have 4 different reward levels with various different rewards. You've got the Legend class reward, which is only $4 a month. And with that, you get credited in the credits of all future YouTube videos and on Caleb's personal website. The second level is $7 a month. It's the Scout class supporter level. You get previous rewards plus access to the Patreon exclusive World Through Electrospecs podcast post show, which will be at the end of the episode that we are surely playing this commercial in. The next level is the Deluxe class reward level, which is $10 a month. You get access to everything I previously mentioned, plus you also get featured in a special thank you video in Caleb's YouTube channel as well at the end of every month. And then there's the Voyager class supporter level. That's only $20 a month. And at that, you get everything I previously mentioned, plus you get to watch the podcast being recorded in a live stream, and you also have access to a chat window where you can actually interact with them while they're recording the podcast, essentially be a part of the show from that point forward. You know, as they're recording, you're in that episode till the end of time.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And you know, me being Sean Connery, you know, it sounds perfect because all those levels are like so exploratory and, you know, that kind of stuff. I told you I'm old, you know.
Yeah, Sean Connery.
Sean Connery, yeah.
Sean Connery. I must have mispronounced your name earlier.
Oh, well, yeah, just a little bit. That's okay.
That's okay. So yeah, like I said, you can go there.
It sounds like Extraordinary Gentlemen is what they sound like.
They do sound like extraordinary gentlemen.
Like they got to leave. We should let them get back to their show, though, or something.
Yep. Again, though, it's patreon.com/Caleb Ferris. That's CalebFairres. And you can support the World Through Electrospecs podcast there. Mr. Sean Canori.
Sean Canori.
Sean Canori.
So welcome back,
everybody.
Yeah. I don't know
thanks
what
to the
just
message
happened.
from our yeah, that was weird. That was really weird.
Really weird. Crazy. Yeah. So there's these
basically
weird binoculars.
I thought that the name macro binoculars was dumb, and he asked me, "Well, what should they be calling them?
Right.
If they didn't call them macro binoculars, what would you suggest they call them? If you're so smart?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know, something else that sounds stupid, like Electrospecs or something." And we cracked up laughing, as kids tend to do with stupid words like that.
Right. It wasn't. Don't hate me, sir. It wasn't like one of those things that was so funny that you guys should just bust out laughing.
Yeah. It wasn't. It was just, elementary school humor. Somebody says something dumb, and next thing you know, everybody's cracking up because you've been up since, you've been up for 12 hours. You
could have said green boogers, and this episode could be called
The Green Boogers Podcast.
No, that's really cool.
The show is not sponsored by Green Boogers.
So if there were Electrospecs, how would they? So we're seeing the world, right?
Right. So when we decided to do the podcast, when we were trying to think of a name of the podcast, we thought, well, we should do something like The World as Seen by Geeks, or The World Through Geek Glasses, or something like that. And I don't remember which one of us brought it up.
Not that that's a bad thing, folks.
No, it's great. It's great. But we were thinking, like, the content of the show is just, a couple guys talking about things that happen, things that they're interested in, from the perspective of a couple nerds, from the perspective of a couple geeks, a couple people who have watched every Star Wars movie a million times, know every Bond villain that there has ever been. Not that I know, he knew. Don't try to trivia me on. People who know all the lore behind Indiana Jones, who have watched The Matrix multiple times.
Right.
Just people like nerds, geeks.
Where am I going to fit in?
You're wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Okay.
So basically, one of us came up with the idea. We were like, well, what if we call it The World Through Electrospecs? Because it's like, it's the world as seen through our eyes, as seen through these very specific kind of geek tinted glasses that we see everything through.
Wouldn't those be amazing, though? If you could actually build something, like if you put those on, all of a sudden it would be like Wikipedia through your glasses, kind of.
Oh, you mean for actual knowledge?
Yeah.
I was thinking more comedic.
It's like, well, comedic would be funny too.
Because I was thinking,
if you could actually slide on a set and be like, oh, damn, now I know everything that doesn't really matter in the world.
Yeah. All the weird little pieces of trivia that nobody cares about.
It doesn't really matter. But man, I know this stuff now.
What was it? You said something to me earlier today where you said something, you spurted something out, and then you were like, there's a useless piece of trivia for you.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't remember. I do know that I was telling you about TV dinners earlier.
Maybe
random trivia like that, where you just look at something and you're like, oh, TV dinners came around such and such time as a solution to this problem.
That's my Sean Connery Kermit the Frog.
Oh,
that was it.
Sean Canary.
Sean Canary.
Kermit the Toad.
Kermit the Toad.
Kermit, yeah.
We're not, yeah, okay. Moving on, yeah, moving on. Yeah, but if you could actually, wear Electrospecs, maybe we need to get on that. It'd be kind of like Google Glasses, but Google Glasses, I think, are going to be more like important to life.
Well, eventually, if this show picks up enough and we get enough of a following and enough support, I would like the possibility of offering Electrospecs as a piece of merch. So we've got for the show we've got the
custom kind of 3D glasses in a way.
We've got kind of the glasses logo with the red and with the green and the blue lenses. That's green and blue are Earth colors, but it's still kind of representational of the 3D
pieces of the
3D glasses.
You ever put 2 pieces of foil over your eyes, one of those, on each eye, to see what color it gives you? That would be great.
What does blue and green combine to make?
Aqua?
Yeah, like a cyan, like a teal.
Sure.
Everything would be teal.
Yeah.
Or would it? I don't think it would, though.
But if you wanted to see the world through Electrospecs, that's what you got to deal with.
No, if you want to see the world through Electrospecs, you just go to the YouTube channel.
Clever. And then that's what you got to deal with.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get. You know, It's kind of that thing. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, that's a neat little back end story for the world through Electrospecs.
Yeah, like I said, it was just a dumb back in elementary school joke, but this podcast has been revived 2 times now. Zechariah and I did it together, and then he couldn't do it anymore. He went off to, we both went off to college, and I wanted to keep doing the show, but he didn't necessarily want to spend the time on it. Understandable. Yeah. He was busy. I was busy. I probably shouldn't have kept doing the show either, but I just had too much of a passion to do it. So then I brought another friend of ours, Tim, on the show, and that lasted a little while, but we ended up kind of not recording as often as we should, and it kind of died again. This time I feel like it has the best potential to continue to be successful, though.
That would be great. Yeah. Well, I'm kind of psyched over it. And hopefully there's some listeners out there that are willing to listen to us more than 5 minutes, I don't know. More than 1 or 2 episodes. Hang out, folks. Who knows what you're going to find out, that kind of thing.
Right.
The world through Electrospecs.
The world through Electrospecs.
So, that would kind of leave us to think about more of future, right? Like, what can we move to? Where are we going to go with this? What are we going to leave folks with and hopefully thinking about that changes their lives in a way? Kind of like how when I tell students...
Realizing that there are 2 idiots out there that are dumber than they are, so they don't have to feel as bad.
Yeah. Which is interesting.
There's our tagline.
Yeah, which is interesting because for some reason I have the title of assistant professor with...
I'm sorry. Did I just offend you?
No.
I'm sorry.
No,
you made it sound which is interesting because I'm smarter than you.
No. No, I was going to actually do the opposite thing, which is interesting because I have this tagline of assistant professor for my, career, my full-time day job.
Yet he still randomly asks me to spell things for him.
Oh, let's not get into that. Yeah. Folks, I cannot spell. And I hate math. Where else can I go with that? So in thinking about that, it's kind of like, I don't know, I think it's kind of neat because... Yes, I should probably classify myself as a nerd, but then again, like our whole world is changing. Everyone's becoming nerds in a way.
Yeah, it's
some of the coolest people.
Being a nerd is a little bit more mainstream than it used to be. People used to get beat up for it, and now you'll see Zelda shirts everywhere. Right. That kind of stuff.
And there's some really amazingly cool, awesome, interesting people that go to Comic-Cons or do is it the tabletop gaming or and the list goes on
like
and on.
What is that, Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah,
like the pen and paper games. Like you don't even have it's all imagination. You don't even have a board, that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. So the whole idea of nerd or geek, it just seems to be, well, I'm not into that, so that's a nerd thing. But then as soon as you're into it, it's still a nerd thing from somebody else. So you're like, yeah, I do a nerd thing. So it's like everything around us is a nerd thing.
Yeah,
right?
In a way, yeah.
Which I was going to kind of explain. Well, I was going to kind of explain my nerd thing. So I was saying, what are we going to talk about that's going to change people's lives, right? What's going to be that thing where I can't wait to hear what they're going to talk about next, kind of thing,
right?
But I tell students when I show them the Helvetica movie.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, this is going to change your life. You're never going to be able to look at letters again or menus or signs or anything again without going, damn him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's a nerd thing,
Yep.
So I want to I kind of hope that through the world through Electrospecs becomes one of those things that makes people go, damn them.
Everybody has their own everybody has their own perspective on things. Everybody has their own way of viewing things based on the events that have happened in their lives and everything that's led up to where they are currently in their journey through life. And I try to keep myself as open-minded as possible to everybody's point of view, keeping my own morals and my own ideas in my mind. But being open-minded and hearing other people's point of views is an essential part of both seeing other viewpoints, but also further understanding why you think the way you think.
Right.
And that's one area where I feel podcasts excel entirely. Whether it's a podcast like Stuff You Should Know, where they are just talking about science and talking about history, or whether it's a podcast like the Rooster Teeth podcast, where it's just a bunch of people sitting around drinking beer and BSing the whole time.
Right.
Either
we're
way,
kind of close to BSing, but no.
We're close to it. So far, we have been.
There was.
We can talk about an actual topic if you want to.
Our topic is Electrospecs, but
I guess so.
There was a show. I don't know what night it was. It might have been just the other night, last night perhaps. But what would you do? Is that the name of a show? What would you do?
I don't watch TV, so I don't know.
I don't know. I don't watch much television either. Anyhow, basically what it was there
Here's
was
something that's my viewpoint. You know what I don't like about TV? Silence. Wow. Sorry. Okay.
The glow. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like how it glows. That's what I don't like about TV.
Isn't that annoying? Oh my God.
No.
Driving down the road and all you can do is look in people's houses because there's a glow.
Commercials.
You just wonder what they're watching.
I can't stand the commercials. Now, there is something to be said about the commercial industry. As far as from a video and cinematic approach, there's something to be said about the commercial industry. It has its own way of pushing just the art forward a little bit, because that short form storytelling.
Yeah.
My problem is when I have a half an hour of programming, but 10 minutes of that, 2/3 of that, is commercials. At what point am I doing this for my own entertainment, or am I just a guinea pig for other people to watch me?
While you're paying for cable. Yeah.
While I'm paying for it,
yeah.
Damn it, I'm paying for it. I don't want to watch commercials. So I don't watch TV.
So I think
that's my like weird tinfoil hat moment there. I prefer to watch mostly YouTube videos or stream things or Netflix or this, that, or the other. I'm just not a huge fan of TV. I can't stand it. Or like the only time I'm okay with TV is when I've got a DVR going, but I don't usually do that. So as a matter of fact, my roommate and I just recently cut the cable. Started just watching shows on Netflix and HBO and stuff.
I'm sorry to hear that for you guys. It sounded like you guys just separated and it's over.
We talked about it for a little bit. We've decided that the agreement that we had was no longer mutually beneficial, and we decided to cut the cable.
Nice job. I was going to complain about commercials. Commercials are very entertaining and cinematic, and really, you can kind of get into the whole story and the filming and whatever. Unless you are a local car dealer that's on the edge of rural America, suburban America, that's trying to make a dollar.
I'm Fred Grody from Grody Automotive.
Those folks.
Yeah.
Good God, man. How hard is it to just find two nerds somewhere with cameras that could do a way better job putting together a commercial?
Yeah. We should make our own commercial.
What the heck?
So really quick, there was a show that I was a huge fan of. It was on Comedy Central.
There was one for me too once.
Quite a while ago. It was on Comedy Central. I don't remember when it came out. It was called Secret Girlfriend.
Okay.
It sounds like a porno, but it's not.
Now that you said it, yeah. Well, I wasn't there till now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not. The premise of the show, I highly recommend, if you can find it somewhere, I highly recommend watching it, because it was a amazing, hilarious show. The people who were in the show have gone on to star in other things. I can't think of their names or anything, but they have gone on to star in other things. The show was not a death wish as far as their acting careers were concerned.
What was it called again? Secret
Girlfriend. The premise of the show was something I had not seen before on TV or in a movie, actually. It was in first person perspective. You, as the viewer, played the main character.
And you would have thought they would have gave it a cleverer, a better name.
No, the name for the show went along with the storyline. The whole point of the show is that you are character X. You as the viewer are the main character. Everything in the show is first person view and is seen from your perspective. You live with your two friends, or do you live with your two friends? I don't know. You have two best friends. Their names are Sam and Phil. And you have a girlfriend that was crazy that you broke up with, but she doesn't think you're actually broken up. She is super attached to you still. And you have a girl that you are currently trying to date, but trying to stay away from your ex-girlfriend. She's your secret girlfriend. There's a lot of adult humor in the show, obviously, considering it was Comedy Central and considering the premise of the show. But it was hilarious. One of the things they did, though, And this is where this came up. When we were talking about making our own commercial, they did a thing where they thought, let's just make we want to sell something. We want to make something and we want to sell it to people.
Right.
We want to try to make some money on the internet, but we don't know what to sell. So let's make the commercial and then fill it in with the item later. So they made an infomercial with no item in it. And it's all nothing but descriptive things. It's there's no actual item for sale.
Kind of like when Sean Connery stopped by the studio, which was crazy. That was crazy.
We got to wrap this up in a second, but there's no actual item in the commercial. It's just a lot of people going, items like this would normally cost hundreds of dollars, but you can get it now for $19.99. They never actually say what the item is.
Right.
It's just a lot of that stuff.
You could record one.
It seems
and put it to
it actually
something
looks
else.
Interesting though. It looks like every commercial you've seen out there. But it was in that show. It was one of the gags in the show. I highly recommend watching it because that was a hilarious show. Secret Girlfriend. It was on Comedy Central. Go watch it.
Well, you know what we're gonna do?
We're going to wrap up.
We're going to wrap up, but we are going to record a gag commercial for Patreon.
We are?
Eventually.
Not right now.
Not right now. No. Geez. Yeah. We got things to do. Lives to continue.
Yes. But we're going to wrap this show up, the main show. We're going to go
so
record.
they can have their lives back. Sorry about that.
We're going to record a quick little post. We're going to record a post-show episode that's available for the Patreon subscribers. Again, feel free to go check that out. Subscribe on Patreon, and you can check out the next show. We're going to play a little game. It's going to be an interesting, slightly improv game. We're going to see where that goes.
I'm nervous.
Okay. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, go ahead and go to the website and check out the post show. But if you're just listening to the main show, thanks for everybody for listening.
Definitely. Thanks, folks. It was an interesting, fun little journey. And it was great to find out really the story behind the Electrospec.
Yeah. Even though it was a kind of a boring, silly story that doesn't matter to anybody other than us.
Boring to you, but yeah.
You thought it was interesting?
Definitely.
Yeah. Well,
if you think that's interesting, wait till the next episode.
Yeah, wait till the post show.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll talk with everyone on the flip side. That's what I'll call it. I'll call it a flip side. That way it's any side. We'll just flip to it.
Okay.
All right. Later.
Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.